Hello everyone, welcome to Semust's YouTube channel. On this channel, we'll show you how to use Semust to speed up your SEO processes and make your content more visible. In our first video, we're starting with the indispensable keyword tool for content creators and SEO experts. These days, it's no longer enough just to create content on a topic. In fact, maybe you've experienced this yourself. You write a long blog post, you cover everything in detail and comprehensively. But in the end, that blog post might not bring you any traffic because people might not be searching the way you explained. Maybe they're searching with different words, with different questions. That's exactly why, for your content to be visible, it must be written with the right keywords. And this is where Semust's keyword tool will guide you. You will search for a keyword and the system will show you the current trends, the most frequently asked questions about that topic, the monthly volume of the keywords, search intents, and details like autocomplete suggestions. Moreover, Semust keeps strengthening its keyword database by updating it every day and enriching it with new data. Thanks to having one of the most comprehensive and reliable data infrastructures on the market, it allows you to access not only keywords, but also other critical information such as their search volumes, competition levels, and search intents in a much more secure way. Now let's do a sample keyword research and see how you can use this tool. The first thing we'll do here is type the keyword we want to search for into this field. If you wish, you can perform a single search, or you can use the bulk search feature to look up multiple keywords at once. After typing, we click on the search button and a detailed analysis page for this keyword appears before us. First, at the top of the page, we see the search volume and competition difficulty for the keyword we looked up. Here, how is SEO done? The monthly volume for this keyword is 720 and the competition difficulty is low. So creating content around this keyword could be a great opportunity. Just to the right, there are semantically related similar searches for this keyword. These data are based on the other searches performed by users section from Google. So how is SEO done? Users who search for this also tend to search for queries like what is SEO, SEO training, and SEO abbreviation. Thanks to these keywords, or rather these similar searches, you can also create additional headings to enrich your content plan. At the top right corner of the page, there are also AI-generated results. There is a section here called Questions Generated. The questions in this section are generated by artificial intelligence. How can these questions be useful to you? For example, how is SEO done? While writing content under this, you could include a subheading like How to do keyword analysis. You can also add a subheading with that title. In other words, the questions here are meant to help enrich your content. Right next to the questions, there's also a section for search intent. Here, the system analyzes the top 10 results on Google to determine why the user is searching for this keyword. So, are they looking for information? Do they want to make a purchase? Or are they just browsing? In this example, the search intent appears to be informational. So, when creating content for this keyword, our main goal should be to educate. The CPC section, on the other hand, is important for advertisers. Here it says 61 cents. This means that if you advertise using this keyword, each click will cost you 61 cents. At the bottom, there are SERP features. This is actually an important area. SEMrush shows you which rich results appear for this keyword in the search results. Here, you might encounter elements like featured snippets, video boxes, and knowledge panels. This is important for the following reason. It not only helps you determine your content format, but also answers the question of how you can stand out from your competitors. When we scroll down the page a bit, we see the section titled People Also Asked These Questions. This section contains questions that have actually been asked by users, created directly based on Google's autocomplete and People Also Ask data by SEMrush. So every heading you see here, like how is SEO done, are things that someone who searched for this has genuinely asked. Additionally, this section is presented as a visual question tree. Under each main question, you can also see related sub-questions. This not only helps you create a heading structure while planning your content, but also enables you to build a logical, SEO-friendly content flow. In short, this section doesn't just provide ideas, it also shows you the user's real intentions, concerns, and priorities. That's why, if content creators skip this section, they often end up writing an article without addressing the topics that actually attract interest. However, a question might come to mind here. Are these questions always up to date? which ones are still being asked, and which ones are now outdated. To see the answer to this, we click on the history here. When we click the history button, we can see how these questions have changed over time. In the timeline tab, which questions were added and which were removed on a specific date. We can see this clearly. For example, on July 25th, questions like what is SEO and how is it done, does SEO make money, and how many months does it take for SEO to show results were added. On the other hand, some older questions have also been removed from the system. For example, how much does SEO work cost? And what does SEO service include, for instance? Thanks to this comparison, we can actually see the trends and also analyze which questions are losing their relevance. When we move to the Statistics tab, we see a slightly more technical summary. Here we see general analysis such as the depth levels of the questions, how many new questions have been added in total, and how many have been deleted. The information is provided here. For example, a total of 71 new questions have been added and 51 questions have been removed from the system. The average rate of change is around 30%. The most frequently changed depth level is at the first tier of questions, for example. This information is especially useful for those planning long-term content because we can see which questions are changing more quickly and which ones remain stable. The Trends tab, on the other hand, shows the questions that have been rising recently. For example, is it easy to do SEO? What should you do to become an SEO specialist? How do you do the best SEO? Questions like these are listed here. This means that if we include such topics in our content, we can catch the trends. Finally, there is the Themes tab. Here, the most frequently mentioned words are listed. In other words, we can see which words people use most when searching about this topic. For example, SEO appeared 88 times, Cage 11 times, and Yapler 10 times. In fact, this information is very important for making headlines and sentence structures closer to the user's language when creating content. Writing not just according to SEO logic, but in the natural search language of people can significantly increase your visibility. When we scroll down the page a bit more, we come across this section. First, we will look at keyword ideas. We can switch from this section to expand this area. In this part, we have 3 tabs. The first one is related words. Related words show you other queries that users actually search for. And here you can see both the search volume and the level of competition. This part is important because Google no longer only considers a single keyword, but also takes into account the semantic relationships around that word. So, if you are creating content about how to do SEO, including other queries that are semantically related to this topic makes your content more comprehensive and authoritative in the eyes of Google. For example, if terms like SEO examples or companies providing SEO services are relevant to the context of your article, including them as subheadings or examples not only enriches your content, but also signals to Google that you are covering the topic in depth. Therefore, this table not only provides alternative keywords, but also serves as a guide for you to meaningfully expand your content. In the questions section, you can find the exact questions that users are asking. Here, you can also see the search volumes and competition levels. For example, the search volume for what is SEO is 9,900. Then there are also questions like how is SEO done, what is an SEO expert, or what is SEO work. All of these questions are quite important for content creators because most of the time we experience this. We might think, I want to write an article about a topic, but I don't know what title to use or from which angle to approach the subject. This section will give you title ideas. And not just for blogs, you can also use the questions here if you're creating YouTube video titles, Reels, TikTok talking points, or sections like frequently asked questions. In fact, the questions in this section show you what users are looking for answers to. If you create your content to directly answer these questions, you'll be producing content that is more meaningful for Google and also meeting a real need for users. Finally, there's the autocomplete section here. This section contains data taken directly from Google's autocomplete system. So, whatever Google suggests to a user, when they start typing a word into the search box, we see the same suggestions here. So why is this important? Because most of the time, users express what they're looking for in their own words when searching for content. These are an excellent resource for capturing natural user language. If appropriate, you can also include these autocomplete suggestions in your content. When we scroll down to the very bottom of the page, we see a list of pages that are ranking for the keyword we searched for. This section is important for the following reason. One of the most common questions we encounter in SEO is, what can I do to rank higher? The clearest way to understand this is to look at the content that is currently ranking at the top. So the table you see here doesn't just show you your competitors. It also helps you understand details like the tone of the content, the format of the titles, the type of page, such as whether they've created a blog or written a guide, for example. Also, since every link is clickable, you can visit each competitor's page one by one, examine their content, and shape your own strategy accordingly. As you can see, Semust's keyword tool not only provides keyword suggestions, but also gives you the opportunity to build a comprehensive content strategy by presenting user search intent, the questions they ask, trends, and competitor analysis all on a single screen. If you also want to learn what you can do with Semust, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.